good morning. Thanks so much for joining us on After GMS on this Monday, November 2nd. Won't be hard to remember the dates for the next few days because we've got some big ones this week.
Yeah, namely Election Day tomorrow. We're going to stay on top of all that and more. Thanks for watching After GMS. I'm Megan Malaris with Tracy McCain. Stacey Spivey's working from home, and Ed Matthews has his winter coat on in the weather garden. Ed, that should tell us something.
Yeah, definitely. It was a little frosty around the Piedmont this morning, but the sun is up and temperatures are starting to slowly move upward. Take a look at the low temperatures across the area for this morning. Some areas down to the freezing mark. Asheboro at 32 this morning, 32 in Sanford, 36 in Burlington, 34 in Reedsville, and also PTI down to 33. Smith Reynolds Airport in Winston-Salem, and over at Lexington, Mount Airy at 36 for the low, Wilkesboro at 34. 28 at Galax and 26 over at Boone. We did have a little wind this morning, and that helped to keep the temperatures up in a few areas, but with near calm winds on Tuesday morning, I think we'll see more communities right near the freezing mark with a pretty heavy frost. But today, look for a mostly sunny day, a little brisk wind from time to time, high up around 51, down near freezing tonight. Election Day looking fantastic. Plenty of sunshine and 61. We continue to moderate the temperatures through the week. Wednesday, we're looking at mid 60s and about some upper 60s by Thursday and Friday. And by the weekend, we could crack the 70-degree mark.
Linda Tyson said, send back the heat, Ed.
I'm trying.
I know it's really cold when you can see your breath. And that's what we're seeing this morning. So. You know, don't hold it in. It's okay. All right. So there's no reason not to get to the polls tomorrow. And it is the final countdown to Election Day. It is almost here. This time tomorrow, the polls will be open. So, Stacey, before we get to tomorrow's expected voter turnout, let's talk about the people who've already voted.
Yeah, well, we've already seen early voting breaking records pretty quickly too, and now that the in-person early voting window is over, the final numbers are in. So let's take a look at the statewide voting turnout so far. 3.6 million people voted in person during the early voting period, and when you add in mail-in votes, so far more than 4.5 million people have cast their ballots. So this morning we want to know once again, how are you voting this year? Did you make it to an early voting polling site, mail-in an absentee ballot, or are you waiting until tomorrow, Election Day? Well, guys, I actually went on Saturday. My husband and I went in and out very quick, maybe 15 minutes. We had to wait for one person in front of us. So very easy, got it done, and excited to see what's going to happen. I know a lot of people, though, are waiting until Election Day tomorrow, but I want to go ahead and toss it back in the studio and see how you guys have voted.
We voted early, and I can't remember the day, but it was in October, obviously, and it was very simple. We went to the old Guilford County Courthouse, and it was during the time when the district courthouse was closed because of a case of COVID-19. So there was hardly anybody around because the activeness of the courthouse was closed, so you didn't have a lot of employees walking over to the old Guilford County Courthouse to vote. So we kind of got in and got out. I was impressed with the safety precautions, and I was impressed with how fast we moved. And I had my cheat sheet with me to kind of like go over the judges' races and all the other bond measures that I wasn't familiar with to kind of help me through the process. So it worked out really nicely.
Yeah, I did mail-in voting this year, more or less for convenience, because as journalists, we work a lot on Election Day, into the night, election night. So that was just to go ahead and make sure I got it done. And of course, I have a child at home. So for me, it was more or less just for convenience. My husband did early in-person voting. So he actually went to one of the early voting sites, and he said he felt pretty safe. You know, he wore his mask. Everybody was distancing. He had looked up the list of assigned voting places online where you could do that. And, you know, they tell you on the State Board of Elections website about how long it's going to take you to vote there. So again, keep in mind Saturday was the last day to vote in person early. Now you'll have to wait until Election Day, as Stacey has been saying. Also, in-person same-day registration has now ended, so you have to be a registered voter in order to cast your vote tomorrow. at the precincts on Election Day. So a lot to keep in mind here. Ed Matthews, did you already cast your vote? You wait until tomorrow to try to sneak out and do that?
I got her done early. I tell you what, I love the convenience of early voting. And after seeing long lines the first couple of days of early voting, I was pleasantly surprised. I voted a couple of Saturdays ago and walked right in, had the whole process done in about 5 to 10 minutes and didn't have to wait. There wasn't a line. There wasn't anybody waiting on that Saturday morning when I voted, so I was very happy about that.
Yeah, and a lot of people are talking about their experience voting early. Stacy, I know you asked on our feed here about that, so what are people saying?
Yeah, it seems like most people either voted early or plan to vote tomorrow in person. Tanya said, I voted early. I was in and out, so it was great. And Ramona said, I voted early on the very first day of early voting. Dana drove up to vote early. And Cami said early voted on the 15th. More people saying they early voted. I'm trying to scroll up to find, I know some people, well, I know Jason for sure. He said that he is voting tomorrow on Election Day. And let's see, Carl said I voted the first week. I can't wait until all of this is over. So I think a lot of people feel that way. And Charlotte said, I voted Saturday. Me too, Charlotte. And Megan, I did use that tool that you said that your husband used. We looked online to see which early voting site in Guilford County had the shortest line, and it was the courthouse. So we just went there, which that was so convenient to use, and I'm so thankful that we have that.
Yeah, and there's also another tool, Ballot Tracker, if you are concerned about whether or not your vote was counted, or if maybe you mailed it in and you want to make sure that it arrived. You can track your ballot, and it's really easy to do, and it's actually just Ballot Tracker, and I think it's just ballottracker.com. So I'll look it up in the meantime, but it's really easy. I did it a few weeks ago, and because I voted early, it was very easy to find.
Yeah, I use Ballot Tracks. I think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And I noticed that my mail-in ballot took only 3 days to get back to the State Board of Elections office, or the County Board of Elections, I should say. And it was in, and it was good to go. So you can definitely use that as a tool to check it. Keep in mind, a lot of these results are going to be very fluid on election night. So North Carolina boards of elections have been already opening the envelopes and counting the results for the absentees, but they're not going to post those until tomorrow. But with the push of a button at 7:30, they'll be able to do that. So early on in the night, we're going to get all the absentee votes probably before we get the results of the day of election votes. And you know that sometimes those can vary based on party, with more Republicans tending to turn out on Election Day, and historically with more Democrats voting early. Not necessarily all the time, but that's what we've been seeing based on the numbers of registered voters who have already cast votes. So just be mindful that we might not know the results right away. It could be tomorrow night. It could be well into the week, with Pennsylvania holding out, possibly tabulating their votes much differently than North Carolina. So it's a process.
What we can all be proud of as Americans is this energy around this 2020 election. Again, an unprecedented year, unprecedented timetable for when we will have a winner in not only the presidential races, but some of our local races. But the thing that all Americans can be proud of is just the vote, and this surge of energy and young voters and Latino voters, black voters, just everyday voters wanting to have their voices heard. So that is exciting in and out of itself, you know? Okay, USA. USA. All right, I digress.
All right, well, thank you for weighing in. You can continue to do so on our feed while we get to some of our headlines this morning. Candace Red actually stopped by the polls today, and she talked with officials about what those polls are going to look like tomorrow. Check it out.
This morning we're at Brown Recreation Center. It's one of the busiest polling places in Greensboro. Now, if you plan on making your voice heard tomorrow on Election Day, then there are some things you need to know. For starters, registered voters must vote at their assigned polling place. But keep in mind, you may encounter long lines or wait times before and after normal business hours at the polls. Well, here's how the voting process works at each precinct from start to finish.
You're going to go up to the check-in officials, and they're going to ask you for your name and where you live, and then you'll sign some documentation. You're going to get your election souvenir pen that you get to keep through the entire process. You're then going to take that and go over to a table where you're going to get your ballot, and then you're going to take that paper ballot, take it to a booth, fill in the ovals for the candidates you want to choose, Then you're going to walk it into the big ballot tabulator, and you're going to insert your ballot where it's going to read your ballot. It's going to say, thank you for voting. It's going to drop into the locked bin, and you're done.
Significant precautions will be in place at all precincts to protect voters and election officials against the spread of coronavirus. That includes enforcing social distancing, wearing face masks, and using barriers between election workers and voters. By the way, curbside voting will be available for people who cannot enter the voting place without help due to age, disability, or other reasons. But once inside the polling place, voters who experience any sort of difficulty should ask for help from an election worker. The state board says all voters must respect the right of others to participate in the election. Intimidating any voter is a crime, and voters who feel harassed or intimidated for any reason should notify an election official immediately. Taking a look at your screen because I want to make sure you have these details. Again, polls across North Carolina are open tomorrow from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Voters in line at 7:30 p.m. will be able to cast a ballot. Remember, a photo ID is not required to vote in the 2020 elections. For more information about Election Day and how to find your assigned voting precinct, be sure to visit our website, WFMYnews2.com.
Let's get to some of our other local morning headlines today. The Alamance County Sheriff's Office will discuss the arrests and the use of pepper spray at a March to the Polls demonstration in Graham. Saturday, about 150 people gathered for this voting rally, and the event ended after law enforcement officers used pepper spray foggers on the crowd. Graham police say the group was blocking traffic to the polls. Police also said someone hit a police officer in the chest, which led to the crowd dispersing efforts. Event organizers maintain they discussed this event with law enforcement ahead of time, and they do not believe the officers' actions were justified.
Sunday, President Donald Trump spoke to supporters in Hickory in a final push to win support from North Carolina voters. He's also scheduled to be back in Fayetteville today for a rally that was rescheduled due to Tropical Storm Zeta last week. Vice President Mike Pence also in North Carolina over the weekend, campaigning at rallies before attending church with evangelist Franklin Graham on Sunday. The Biden-Harris campaign also campaigned in North Carolina over the weekend. Democratic vice presidential nominee Senator Kamala Harris spoke to supporters in Goldsboro Sunday. And then Dr. Jill Biden stumped for her husband in Greensboro Saturday, speaking to a crowd of supporters in their cars. The former second lady also made a campaign stop in Charlotte.
Well, some Stokes County students will continue learning at home today after a power outage overnight. 3 schools will switch to remote learning. Those schools are Piney Grove Middle School, Lawsonville Middle School, or Elementary School rather, and North Stokes High School. The list is on your screen. Again, any students at those schools who were supposed to attend in-person learning today will learn remotely due to a power outage. Today, Winston-Salem-Forsyth County students will start their return to classrooms. Pre-K students return today in a plan approved by the school board last week. Kindergarten students will come back next week, November 9th, and then first graders head back on November 16th. The board will decide plans for 2nd through 12th grades later this month.
So if you haven't stepped outside yet this morning, stay in. No, I'm joking. Grab the jacket before you head out. It is just a chilly morning in the Triad. Ed said this at the beginning of the show. Temperatures will warm up, but they were in the 30s, or maybe still are at this point to start the day. So we want to know, do you love the cold weather? Or I say chilly, others say cold, but you know, that's debatable. We'll get your take in a minute, Ed. So I asked on my Facebook page, and here are some responses. Gretchen says, yes, love this weather when I can wear sweaters, coats, boots, etc. Tammy says, I love warm weather, but it can't stay warm forever. So I guess I'm as ready as I'm gonna be. And Lloyd weighed in saying, no, I'm not ready, but looks like I better get ready. All right, Ed Matthews, I say chilly. You're in the elements. Is it chilly or is it cold?
Well, I'd say now it's chilly, but when I was out walking my dog in the middle of the night and the winds were really gusty and we had wind chills down into the 20s, I was cold to the bone. I had my big coat on. Rio had her NC State sweater on. We were all prepared, but I tell you what, that wind, it really, really would cut through you. Now, a little bit of a breeze today will keep it chilly in the low 50s. This morning, down into the low and mid 30s, and I think tomorrow morning with a lighter wind, we have more of an opportunity for more cities to dip to right around freezing, and I anticipate a pretty heavy frost tomorrow morning as well. And having said all that, long-winded Ed, I don't like cold weather. I'm sorry. You know, give me South Florida weather anytime.
Even northern Florida weather.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, Meg, it's your turn. Are you ready? I have a feeling I know where this is going.
No, in fact, I got to my car this morning, went back inside for a second coat because it was so chilly. And, you know, the car had sat all night, and so it was cold. And even though you crank the heat, it takes a few minutes. I don't have one of those fancy remote starts. So I do not like cold weather. I'm from the Midwest, from Missouri, so the weather got a lot colder than it does here. But I think just being in this profession and having worked many snow days in the cold for many consecutive hours, you just have a different take on things. But, you know, all in all, I am thankful that we overall don't have super terrible winters. But we know it takes only a little bit of snow or a little bit of ice to create some problems, and especially for those buses that have to be out.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Stacy, I noticed your sweater right away. It is sweater weather. I would definitely be having on a sweater if I were at home as well. So, have you guys turned on the heat yet? Have you convinced your husband it's time?
Oh, it's been on.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of won that battle a few weeks ago, but I'm cold-natured. I'm just always cold. I mean, my friends, family can tell you that. I'm cold 24/7. So this morning when I woke up, I realized it's not chilly to me, it's cold outside. So forget the, you know, work dress. I'm putting a sweater on to be warm and comfy today. And I agree with Megan. And then also Heather, she said, I miss summer, LOL. I feel ya. I do too. A lot of people also weighing in that they love this time of year, and they've been saying the S word, snow.
Oh Lord.
Not
Lord.
yet, okay, y'all. But Jay said it's perfect cuddle weather, LOL. I think that's pretty, you know, on track. Let's see. Nadine said yes, let it snow. Y'all, come on. Okay, Charlotte, I'm ready for some snow. Wanda said just not ready for winter. Yeah, I'm with you, Wanda, but you know, that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I'll take cold temperatures over snow any day. You know, for me, like when people say the 4-letter S word, I'm like, salt? Let's not talk about that other one.
Yeah.
Like, I just refuse to get it ingrained in my mind, and I'm hoping we have an extension of last year where we only had a trace amount of snow, and it really was just pretty to look at. Didn't really cause too many problems on the road. So
I know a lot of us have joked about the thermostat wars in our house, our husbands naturally being warmer natured. I think there is something scientifically to that with men versus women, at least the majority of them. But you know, in my house, I woke up Sunday morning to tend to my son. I have all 3 blankets on with the comforter. My husband's on his side of the bed with nothing like but a sheet on him. I'm like, are we even in the same house, the same planet? Like, what is going on? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, well, he is just like my son, and also Jason Hutchins on here, who was joking. He's like, I have a hoodie on and shorts on. And I had a conversation with my son this morning because he wants to put shorts on, and I was like, no, honey, you can't wear shorts. And he was literally like, why not? The sun's out. Like, there's a little bit more to it than that, but you know, he could wear shorts all year round, and he's just warm-blooded, warm-natured, kind of like my husband. So
yeah. I want to take a real quick survey. I'm assuming that all 3 of you ladies have turned on your heat.
Oh yes.
I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
No. As a matter of fact, this morning when I got up, it was 74 degrees in my house with no heat. Haven't turned it on yet. I'm loving it. Duke Energy doesn't particularly like me very well. I won't turn on the heat, well, until I have to. I mean, it'll get to the point when it gets cold enough that I will turn it on. But, you know, a fairly new condo, very insulated, sandwiched in between 2 floors. I think all of that is a big help for me.
So essentially, Ed Matthews is buying coffee this morning for all of us because of the money he is saving on his heating bill.
Well, he did make me decaf this morning.
I did.
I
did you enjoy?
That. I did.
Good,
a little strong.
Yeah, it was cold enough this morning that I think I did 3 cups of coffee during the Good Morning Show.
Might have put a little extra in there.
So I'm wired. I am wired now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why he's jumping around in there. Got it. Thank you, Ed. All right, let's take a look at our forecast before we close out our show.
Let's do it. That's my favorite topic, the weather. A little bit of a breeze today will keep it chilly. We'll be up about 51, but it'll feel a little cooler, probably feeling like mid and upper 40s today, but nothing but sunshine. Now the winds diminish tonight, and that's important because that allows more communities to dip to near freezing tonight. And with that lighter wind, I anticipate a pretty heavy frost by tomorrow morning. But election day, not only locally, but across the nation, an extremely quiet weather pattern will allow just so many people to get out and vote, and that's a great thing. Exercise your right to get out and vote. We'll be up around 61 tomorrow, and then we start to moderate the temperatures even more, mid-60s on Wednesday, and looking at upper 60s by Thursday and Friday, maybe getting pretty close to 70 by the upcoming weekend.
Ooh, I look forward to the weekend, finally, right?
Yeah.
I think everyone's looking forward to the weekend in some aspect or another, so we'll
I think
see.
you were referring to post-election day. Yeah, Megan's got a long day ahead of her. She's a trooper. She's
I'm excited.
working at night with our election team, and then working through the morning, and then maybe hopefully you'll get a nap, and then you're right back at it. So
Hey, that's okay. You know, we live for this, especially those of us who are political junkies like myself. So yeah, we will have you covered though, obviously with the morning crew, and then our digital coverage, which will begin at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, and then into the night on election night, we will have to see as those results come in.
so there's a chance you'll see Megan all day.
Yeah.
Yay! Yay!
You won't see me all day, but I'm just as excited for this election. Don't be surprised about that. All right, guys, it is time to say goodbye. I know, goodbye.
Time already?
We'll see you tomorrow on Election Day 2020 right here on The Good Morning Show and on After GMS. See you then.